Okay, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and then Sheila, if we could do a roll call.
Commissioner Velasco?
Here.
Commissioner Carey?
Here.
Commissioner Batterson?
Here.
Commissioner Lee is absent, and Commissioner Molina is not here as well.
Thank you. If we could get an approval for the minutes of December 14, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
December 14th.
Okay. Any opposed? So we'll go ahead and approve the minutes. We don't have any public comment and presentation, so we'll go ahead and move to new business. And Commissioner Molina has come in. So we'll go ahead to go to 5A, new business, recreation, reorganization, and there's a page 5 in your packet.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So there were some questions earlier about the traffic on the overpasses. So what ended up happening is the young man that died in the skiing accident, Joey Dionda.
That's right.
So they're bringing his remains back to Santa Maria for his services. And we're involved because he was one of our original youth ambassadors way back when the youth center opened.
Wow.
He was 15 then, and so yeah, it was pretty sad. Barbara Wiley was, reminiscing about his involvement with the program and things, and so yeah, it was definitely a real tragic loss for the community. So they'll be taking him to Dudley Hoffman today, and it looks like the services are planned for the 22nd. So the Rangers are participating in that, as well as the mayor is there to welcome him back to town. So I just got a text that they're just getting off the freeway.
Oh, that's it.
So.
Thank you.
So I was hoping that Dennis would be here to kind of walk you through the reorg that's going on in the Recreation Division.
Do you have an agenda? I can't find it.
Commissioner Carey had a contact by one of the
Thank you.
members of the senior board of directors concerned about the reassignments that we had made, and so obviously we hadn't had a chance to talk to you about it until this meeting. But
Forgot about that.
so if you turn to that org chart that was provided in your packet, with Cindy's retirement last month, we tried to look at to see how we could take our supervisor level positions and make them more responsible for programming. Make them more responsible for supervising programming as opposed to developing and executing program themselves. So in the org chart, you see where both Rudy and Jason have taken on either recreation coordinators or recreation technicians. Both of those are full-time positions. And program responsibilities and program areas have been placed beneath them. In the other structure, it was set up so basically everybody reported to the supervisor, regardless of where you were in the chain of command. The goal is to try to create more of a pyramid-shaped kind of a supervisory structure, giving Dennis 2 or 3 people to supervise as opposed to the whole division. The coordinator position you see right below the division manager, that position will be recruited and hired, and they'll be maintaining a lot of the duties that Cindy had as supervisor, working with play, being our grant writer, kind of managing the programs related to fundraising, graphics and outreach, marketing, those kinds of things, which are things that Dennis has really kind of held pretty close himself. So that's kind of the setup. As far as individuals go and how they ended up in their spots, it's the same kind of thing. It's supervisor discretion to put people in particular assignments, and if there are issues, which, Commissioner Carey was made aware of concerns that this individual had, those are for the management people to handle. So either the supervisor would handle that, in this case, it'd be Rudy having to deal with those comments and how to make sure that that coordinator, is responsive to the needs and the desires of the programs that are, assigned to her. So everybody else, this org chart has been gone over with all the staff, and they all seem to be ready to accept the responsibilities. If we go down and under Jason's side of the chart, David Rodriguez has been the mayor's youth task force person, but he is a full-time recreation coordinator. So we try to put those programs that focused on youth under his direct supervision. As opposed to him kind of being an ancillary person kind of out here kind of free-floating doing task force and things.
Wow.
So it does two things. Number one, it gives him some supervisory responsibility. Number two, it allows for him to have more resources at his disposal for Mayor's Youth Task Force functions, and gives those individuals reporting through him to have a different supervisory relationship, so it'll be different. And then on Rudy's side of the chart, the same thing. You have people who have been long-term individuals in their positions. Eduardo, as an example, has been with the department a number of years. Wendy Hudson was just promoted to coordinator. I think it was last year, somewhere around there. But she's been with the department for a number of years. Started out at Hagerman. And then Rudy will also keep the aquatic section under his supervision, which includes maintenance and then also our lifeguards and contracts with the high school, and those things will be with him. So that's just kind of a broad breakdown. You can see names there of individuals. The spots that don't have names are the spots that are vacant right now. We're trying to move forward with some recruitment, but everybody else in the city is too. So, we just hired a new director, chief human resources and risk officer, and she has just started. So she's trying to build that team that she has in risk and HR. And her name is Linda Lee, just L-E, and she has a wealth of experience in HR and risk, so it was a good combination. It was a good job fit for us. So, we're really looking forward to being able to move forward with getting some positions hired as soon as we can. We have some ranger positions that are vacant also, so we're trying to get those hired. So, there's a lot of jobs out there right now. It's pretty difficult to maintain operations without the bodies. So,
Does anybody have any questions? I have one, Alex. This is Recreation Division. Do we have similar changes in the Parks Operations Division?
that's good. Good segue. So, you all should have gotten my email regarding Brett being moved over to Public Works on an interim basis. So that has pluses and minuses, obviously. There's a lot of projects that Brett was working on. The vets, the Chapel Plaza, a number of little smaller capital projects within the system. But the plus side of that is that most of those projects were ready to hand off to Public Works for management anyway. So he'll be there to help the engineering staff kind of understand how those projects are intended to kind of roll out. So that'll be a benefit. At this point in time, I've been told that it's for a minimum of 6 months. So always underscoring the minimum word. But his job will be focused on operations, which is the city's fleet, the facilities maintenance, transit, and roads and streets and sidewalks. That's the component of public works that he'll be responsible for. The municipal code requires that the city have a city engineer, which Brett is not an engineer. So that the engineering tasks have been handed to David Baez, who was a principal civil engineer. So now he is the interim city engineer. So Brett and he will work to run each of the divisions and get things done. Good things for Brett, I think. I think it gives him an opportunity to expand into the council realm of politics, because pretty much he's kind of been insulated from that. So this will give him an opportunity to spend some more time at council meetings, give their reports, those kinds of things. So it'll be a good prep for him to, replace me.
Okay, good.
And give him kind of a little bit of a leg up when it comes to making those council presentations. We will miss him at commission, obviously. He won't be here. But Scott has stepped up today to take his spot as far as that.
Just today.
So to answer your question, yes, we will be putting out something to respond to that. Right now, I believe Scott and Mario Veloki will work together. Scott kind of being the resource kind of mentor for Mario, and Mario taking care of the direct park operations. So all the park maintenance components will still run through Mario. And Mario has a litany of years of experience. Scott has volunteered, I think that's what I was told, to be that resource for him when it comes to things that maybe he's not so familiar with, especially those tree-related issues. And Scott has been taking those on over the last several months, and certainly we appreciate that. He brings a wealth of knowledge in that area. So this is like a game of chess. So the minute that we move somebody from one point to another, it creates a spot. So we intend to refill Mario's position. We'll get in the queue for hiring a senior crew leader maintenance specialist. We have a few people who have expressed an interest on being interim. So we have one, Jose, why am I drawing a blank? Sheila, help me. Mario. Yeah, Perez. Yes, he's the interim crew leader maintenance specialist. And we'll have him do that job for a couple of months, and then open it up to anybody else that wants to take a stab at it for a while, and then we'll do a recruitment. The way things are going right now, that recruitment probably isn't going to happen until close to summertime, and then we'll put somebody in that spot, and then somebody will need to fill his spot, and it just kind of goes. So yeah, some challenges right now, definitely in getting things done, but I think the staff is really committed to still doing a good job.
Awesome.
So I'll get you more.
All right, thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to 5B in new business, which is printed out for us, is developing a resolution for downtown parks.
Yes, so a couple of you anyway have been involved in the downtown plan, and we've talked informally here at the commission about the fact that the downtown plan calls for losing our public open space in the downtown in favor of development. So Perlman Park being the corner of Broadway and Main Street, Perlman Park being the prime target, that it's a great place to build in this case, it's looking like a high-rise apartment building. And we would also lose the Firefighters Memorial across the street next to Bank of America and the Four Corners Monument space that's there. For also a mixed-use project, which would consist of ground floor retail of some sort or food service, something like that, and then 2 to 3 stories of residential above it. And so, pretty big impact to the downtown, kind of the change in the whole mindset of what the downtown has been. As you know, there's a project on the northwest corner that has been struggling to move forward with a 4-story, I think it was reduced to a 3-story, right, Scott? To a 3-story apartment building with retail on the ground floor and parking on the ground floor. That project is still pending. But there are so many other projects that are happening downtown, and I'm going to ask Scott to tag team with me on this. So there's a project at the location of the old Santa Maria Car Wash, right?
Yes.
Yes, so that's, sorry about that, the Vino Bellow apartments, and actually it's the same developer as this corner one you just mentioned. That one is in the final stages of plan review, so it looks like it's, I would expect them to break ground this spring. So that's sort of the first.
And there's also some smaller projects along in the old, along that chapel, and anything in that old west side, northwest side corridor of Main and Broadway. Big lots, so people are buying up the lots, tearing down the home, and coming back with 2, 3, 5, 6, 8 units going into those areas. So infrastructure-wise, there's a lot of issues with that. You know, the sewer lines are 1918, 1920 sewer lines, so there's really some issues that need to be addressed, but the projects are moving forward. One of the reasons that we were pushing so much for the Plaza concept at the parking lot was that we know, it may not be this year, next year, 5 years from now, the downtown is going to turn into a high-density residential area. So we wanted to make sure that the Plaza was available to give a little bit of open space down there. That's kind of bringing us back to Perlman. So Perlman Park runs from the corner of North Vine Street and Mill, and kind of dissects across diagonally from that corner to Main and Broadway, where the main Perlman Park elements are. So what we're trying to do is get from the commission basically your position statement on the downtown and what you think the downtown as far as public open space should look like. If you recall, those of you that were on the committee, it was very focused on residential, commercial, and business-friendly kind of emphasis. There were a few plazas and courtyards and those kinds of things, but there was really no open space in the design and in the discussions even. So the only discussion about open space was, okay, let's lose these properties and let's turn them into something more, you know, that will pay more of its own way. So we had talked about a CDBG application, and we did submit that. We presented it, our project was presented to the council during the CDBG discussions. And the feedback that we got from the council was, oh, well, you just spent money at Perlman Park. Why would we give you more money to fix it, you know, and then we're going to come in and tear it all out so that we can put housing on it. And it's hard, it's difficult. So what we tried to illustrate to them, the CDBG committee group anyway, is that we need to consider Perlman Park, that diagonal section, more of a pedestrian connector, get me to Main and Broadway, an easy, safe way, you know, continue the park around whatever residential project happens there, just like the apartments are to the east, and make it a like I say, a pedestrian-friendly walk. Yeah. So that's our pitch that we're going to throw to the CDBG committee. I think we're meeting on the 19th. And we have some illustrations of other public spaces. I think you saw some of them in your staff report, that are similar to the concept we have in mind. And I just received last night from our architect kind of a sketch of what it would look like. Not that it has to look like that, but basically it's just a really nice strolling pathway from Mill and Vine out to Main and Broadway, so people could, you know, make that path. We're talking about, in the grant also, improving the landscaping in those areas, improving the lighting. We had put a playground in, because there is a playground in the location, but we backed that out because the cost was just expensive, and we can handle that through other funding sources. But there's an old gazebo in there, similar to the one that's out on the corner, that really needs to be replaced or taken out, one or the other. We, in working with Dennis, our thoughts were that maybe we make this like an art walk. Maybe we set venues aside within the walkway along the way that we get some three-dimensional art, commissioned and or at least provide the spots for them along the trail. Again, similar to what you saw in some of those pictures, that there has to be an attraction, and the attraction would be, coming to see the art. If you're a resident in one of those buildings, you can, meander down the walkway and enjoy yourselves. So what I'd like to do is have a discussion about where the commission is on the downtown and what you would like to see them recommendations on a planning commission and to the council on this. I'm going to stop talking there and then answer any questions you might have, and then maybe we can throw that around.
We'll go ahead and open it if anybody has questions or comments. And I know, Rebecca, you're currently on the
Yes.
committee, so.
I'd kind of like to hear Rebecca has.
You know what, it's funny because I pulled out a pad today and it has the original vision for the downtown specific plan. And let me just read it because it really fits in with our discussion. The main vision is to focus on a pedestrian-oriented, culturally rich environment with diverse opportunities for entertainment, business, well-living, and recreational and civic amenities. And that's kind of what we want to expand on.
There's the staff report right there.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
It was like a gift when I said, oh my God, this pop up. But yeah, that's basically what we want to do. My ideas were, I don't know. I always think the picture that you had that had the third one with the arches, it reminds me of being in France or something. And it just, it's somewhere you sit and you just watch the world go by. Or if you have little kids, you don't have to have a playground. You can push them in the, or they could be on their little, whatever they're riding at the time. But there's, just a peaceful place for people to gather or walk through or be able to see from their windows, go have lunch, sit on a bench. That's it. Just some basic, a little peaceful spot in the city, I guess, from the traffic.
Thank you. Anything else?
Will this kind of, I guess, give more walking access to the, like the Friday night,
Downtown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Downtown Fridays.
downtown Fridays, and then the, I believe it's Wednesday is the
Farmers Market. Yeah. Well, I think that the Town Center West part of the project has so many moving parts. Part of the downtown redevelopment would essentially blow up what we see there now around the Fallis building, and it would become more of pedestrian-friendly courtyards, retail buildings, so you would meander through those. The problem with Downtown Fridays right now is that the organizers don't want to move from where they are. We've suggested other venues in the area, maybe closing down McClellan Street, and they insist that wouldn't work because their traffic is the Broadway traffic. I think they've been around long enough that that's probably not as relevant as they think. But at some point in time, that space they're using now will go away. And so, again, to answer your question, yes, the idea is, I don't know, let's say at the corner of Vine and Chapel, somebody buys up a bunch of the houses and builds a 4-story apartment complex there. That would provide an easy access to Main and Broadway without having to go down Vine Street or Chapel, be able to meander down the street. I think sometimes redevelopment is is hard to vision. If people don't have a vision, then you're not going to see again, it's not going to happen next year, the year after that, or 5 years, maybe even 10 years from now. But if we only get one chance to get infrastructure in, otherwise it just goes away. You know, I use the sewer line as an example. In 1920s, did anybody ever think they were going to have anything more than a need for a 6-inch sewer line or 8-inch sewer line? And now they need a 12 or a 20-inch sewer line. You know, people just didn't plan ahead back then, but it was, you know, nobody expected Santa Maria to be over 100,000 people back then either. So.
I have one more question. About how wide would this pathway be?
I wish I had a picture to put up for you. Right now, at different points along the way, the park is probably a good 40 to 50 feet wide, and in other ones it's 20 to 30 feet wide, with a meandering sidewalk that winds through it, and landscaped areas. And the way the project is set up is the apartments really border the public parkland. And so, you know, you have your patio for your apartment, well, then that butts right up to the public parkland, you know. And so, you know, that's the other component of, I think it was a good idea back then, but it was, you know, obviously it's a little bit, we have to design it to make these people feel safe too, you know, now that, you know, if we go in and do any major redevelopment of it.
Well, what came to my mind is when we were in Long Beach, that walkway next to the hotel,
Yes.
and which was quite wide and very, I mean, very pedestrian friendly, but also there was a lot of people using that walkway.
Yes.
But it gave them access, you know, to a lot of shops and businesses on the one end, and then the convention center and that little mall
Yes.
that was on the other side.
Yeah, and you know, they had the same problem that we have, is they had big streets kind of in between all these things, but it still appeared to be friendly enough, you know.
Yeah.
And the archway and being able to do things like decorative lighting, or, you know, some kind of motion sensing lighting, something that would just be an attraction. You know, I think that's kind of the things that if you look around, Santa Maria built something, they put up the building, and the building is nice and it goes in, but there's no other planning around it, you know. I think Perlman Park is a good example of what they did in the 1980s. Was a good idea, you know, but they just didn't go anywhere else from there because development didn't go beyond there.
The only thing I'll say, just from my time on the committee, I mean, Perlman Park has always been that, like, target. And so I think it'd be nice for the commission to have a position, because I think we all agree that that's a place we'd like to keep as a park, open space. And particularly because in all the surveys that were done for downtown revitalization, it's all the activities that the public wants. It's like, where are you going to have that if you don't have an open space? It's kind of like what Rebecca was talking about, you know, the parks, the farmers markets, the concerts, the gathering places, a place to have groups come in and do whatever they need to do in a visible place. So, you know, I think it just needs to be executed correctly, but I'd like to see us put this forward.
Well, and again, I apologize, and I don't know if we can. I will send you the artist concept that we're going to be presenting. I thought I could call it up on my phone, but I don't seem to have it on there. But basically, that's kind of what we were talking about doing. Is yes, you want to have a building in the downtown. Okay, how do we make those things mix together? You know, in my mind, I've been to places where there's a big building, and I think the Miami one is shown there, and you still have open space in front of it. You still have a place for people to gather. You have shops and businesses, and you still have places. That takes a little extra work, but certainly, and a little extra money too. But I think that if we take a position that's important to the community based on the information that we received from talking with our residents, then I think that's our obligation to bring that forward to the council.
I think the other thing too is if that space goes away, what's the park footprint for all the residents in that area? I mean, what's the closest thing, which would be Buena Vista? No.
First real park, yes, Buena
Yeah.
Vista would be the closest. Yeah, even the Chapel Plaza
Would
is
not
more
be.
of a plaza, it's not a
Plaza.
park. I mean, there's no playground or anything planned at this point in time anyway there, so.
Yeah,
Veterans Memorial might be kind of a toss-up between the two.
yeah.
That's about 5 blocks away, 6 blocks away.
But for the amount of density that's gonna go in, I mean, that's not, I mean,
Nothing.
Yeah.
so that's another point to highlight as well, I think. But I don't know, how do we make this like an actionable item?
So it is on the agenda to take action. So the question is what is it you would like to include in a resolution? And then I would take a stab at getting one done and send it out to you all to look at. The points that I would like to make are the points that I did make. And I think, I'm hearing, the same points, that there's the density issue, there's a need for green space, I'm willing to compromise so that there is a win-win for us. I mean, I can't say, okay, Pearlman Park should stay exactly the way that it is, because it is a minimally used public facility. But it is also a refuge in the middle of the downtown, so you kind of have to weigh that. And the fact that there is no park within the 10-minute walking distance that we typically like to see around residences, it doesn't exist. So, I mean, those are all the points that we can make in a resolution, and to let the council know that it's important to us, and the planning commission, because ultimately they're going to make the planning decisions as to what happens in the downtown.
Okay. So I guess if we could move a motion to have a resolution created for the review of downtown development plan for permanent park implications?
Yes, we could do that. And then with the caveat that we bring it back to you, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, either
To be-
electronically or some other way.
So to be brought back electronically or at our next commission meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Need a second, sorry.
Oh, sorry, a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we'll go ahead and wait for that.
Thank you, we'll work on it.
So there's no items under old business, so we'll move to item 7, Director and Management Staff Budget Update, which is in your packet as well.
Sheila, you're on.
Hello, Commission. So with 49.98% of the fiscal year completed, the department is under budget by 0.84%. And for COVID, we currently have about 17 staff members that are on our COVID watch list, but approximately 6 of those are going to fall off within the next couple of days. So we're keeping an eye on that. That's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a tough holiday season for us, and not just us, the other departments too. And, with the OSHA guidelines aren't keeping pace with the CDC guidelines, so we're working under a much more stringent state occupational health and safety guidelines. So we're hoping that they're going to catch up soon, and some of the dates and times and things will change. It's very inconsistent, very confusing. The new risk chief of personnel and risk has made it a priority for them to provide a consistent response to when department have inquiries of things. Because every time you call, depending on who you speak with and depending on when you call, you get a different answer to the same question. So, and that was, that materialized yesterday during our department director meeting where, everybody had an example of, well, today you told me this, yesterday I was told this. So they're trying to pull it together, and it's a big challenge. Certainly don't want to be in their shoes, but yeah, we need to get some clarity. Yeah, so thank you, Sheila, for, Sheila, has assumed the Ryan role of taking on management analyst duties in addition to her own duties. And the major thing that came up with that was COVID. Having to deal with all the COVID notifications, the scores of letters that have to be sent out to other employees to let them know that they were potentially exposed. It's a nightmare.
Thanks, Sheila.
Simply. So thank you, Sheila. There's a smile under that mouth, I'm sure.
Item 7B is noteworthy activities, pages 7 to 11 in our packet. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of that? No. As always, extremely busy.
Yeah.
Director's report, item 7C.
Lots of stuff.
my
I've been
goodness.
sending you some things. I sent you a couple of email or documents on park access and maintenance and things, and if you saw that. There's a lot of information coming out now on making parks more accessible. And I don't mean just handicap accessible, I mean just more available to the public. Adding amenities, making sure that they're along transportation routes and all those kinds of things. So again, I just want to kind of keep you up to what's happening in the profession and out in our general area. You got the Valley of Lights dedication coming up on the 19th, next Wednesday. Dennis and the County Arts Commission were, actively involved in getting that done. So it was great. Our Parks Division did a lot of the labor for that little walkway you see connecting each of the exhibits. Is that districts or parks? Districts? Or just a crew?
Yeah, Rick Garcia did a lot of that.
Yeah. So it was a good joint effort in that regard. I did bring the downtown multimodal streetscape concept plan with me if anybody hasn't seen it or would like to kind of thumb through it. And again, a lot of the stuff that you see in here talks about traffic calming measures, reducing the width of Broadway and Main Street, and putting in more landscaping and, doing more of those things, more pedestrian friendly crossings. So it is a good plan, and it was paid for by Caltrans, so you would expect that Caltrans would want to see it kind of move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to take a look at that, I have that available. Let's see. Cprs Conference is coming up. I just got a notice yesterday or today that the conferences will continue as scheduled. They do have their COVID requirements. I heard from Commissioner Batterson that she was interested in going.
When is it?
It is March.
13th?
Oh, no.
Through the 11th. The 11th is either the end of it or the start of it, I think.
Yeah, let me take a look
The
here.
11th is a Saturday.
Oh, maybe it's not.
I think.
I keep getting stuck.
Let's see here. It is March.
Oh, no, I think. Yeah, the 13th is a Sunday, so.
See if I didn't put it on my calendar. Let me check.
Oh,
March 8th through 11th.
Yep, is it? Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because
We
it
were
happens
all-
on our commission meeting, so we wouldn't have the
Yeah.
March commission meeting.
okay.
Yeah, March 8th through 11th, it's in Sacramento. 2 commissioners can go. We do provide your housing and your registration for the conference, and some per diem for your meals and those things. I'm not really sure staff-wise who's going now because of all those changes that we've done. But Dennis and I are probably for sure going. We did open it up to we opened it up to the Recreation Division staff and said if anybody's interested, throw your name in a hat, we'll draw a name. We only got one name, so
Wow.
she won. So,
Nice.
Oh, I'd like to go if there's a.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can't, so no.
Yeah, it's the middle of the work week. It's tough to do.
As much as I'd love to leave by myself for a couple of days.
Yeah, you get your own private hotel room.
Hotel.
I get
You know?
to eat by myself.
Nobody to bug you guys. So you're there, you can just take a nap there, relax.
Tempting.
But, so we'll get you more information, Commissioner Carey and Commissioner Batterson, and get you signed up. As far as I know, it's going to be the same format, basically the session, 3 or 4 different session tracks, and then the trade show. You will have to be vaccinated and have to bring proof of vaccination. What else did that say, Sheila?
Did not read it.
Oh, you didn't read it? You got to back me up on these things. Proof of vaccination, wear a mask.
It's part of your role.
Yeah, anyway, but we'll send it out to you. Let's see. I think that's it. Any questions for me? I'm sure there's more stuff that I'm forgetting, but
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Wait, I have a question. Maybe, we don't have this on our agenda. What about the landmark committee? Is that
It's-
something we're
It's
going to talk
down
about?
think
below
it's on him.
somewhere, isn't it?
So,
I thought it was.
It's on our committee sheets, I
Okay.
think, for discussion.
Right, but,
the council has yet to actually take any official
yeah,
action.
yeah.
At their last meeting, they did direct the city staff to come up with a, so they're an ordinance-driven
Right.
committee. So that ordinance has to be changed in order for it to change. So the discussion is that the landmark committee would become a committee of Recreation and Parks Commission, and their role would continue to be the same. There can be the same members, there can be more members, there can be less members. There will be at least one commissioner, but no more than 2 commissioners assigned, just like we would our capital budget, or capital construction, or our budget committee. It'd be handled much of the same way. Mr. Zemaitis sent an email out today telling us that he was going to get the committee together. So the committee still exists in its current format until the council takes action. And I believe he said something to the effect that he wanted to get the committee together and talk about the information that was sent to them from the city clerk's office, which was this combination, or transferring the responsibility to Rec and Parks. Once that happens, then the commission would develop the guidelines of how you want the landmark committee to work and how it reports to you, either through commissioners or through meetings or however it's done. The mayor's made it a point that she said she wanted somebody from the Historical Society to be on any committee that has to deal with landmarks, but that's not, I don't believe that'll be a requirement. I think it'll be something that the commission will decide who would be on the committee, so, but that's yet to be done. Yes.
So I've been doing a little research and to give to Mayor Patino, just because I'm concerned about, we have some really good people on there too, especially that it would be a shame to have to not have them be part of the committee. So I had suggested to Mayor Patino, and hopefully this will come to fruition, is that we can appoint maybe 1 or 2 outside, community members.
Oh, definitely.
And have them as sitting committee members, rather than just.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it being, again, we would set it up however you want to set it up.
Okay.
If there's a 5-member committee, 2 commissioners and 3 members of the general public, or whatever it is, and they elect their own, chairperson, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Those are all operational things.
Okay,
The things that it does is it ultimately, they would make a recommendation to you. You would make and that recommendation, if you supported it, would go to the planning commission, because that's the way it's set up right now. And the planning commission actually designates the landmarks.
Oh.
We're just gonna be the kind of the pass-through group that will send it on. I haven't seen any rewrite from the city attorney, but that's the way
okay.
I think it'll evolve. It may not, I don't know. We're kind of waiting to see.
Okay.
I had a question on these list of committees for this last year.
Yes.
We don't have the environmental tree committee on there?
Yes.
It's not on that?
It's part of park development, is it?
No, it was
No, it was
a,
a separate one.
it was an ad hoc committee at the time it was created. to deal with the tree ordinance. That's really where Brett kind of brought it on. So it'll be the commission chair can make that a committee, and we can add it to the list. It's really not a...
Because it had morphed into the tree/environmental committee.
Yes, yeah.
It was like,
I believe the question that we asked is, anybody interested in working with Brett on trees? And 2 hands went up, and there you are. So now you really... And then as it evolved, I mean, and it makes sense that it evolved out to being more, not just trees, but other things that were environmentally important. So I think it's an important committee. I think you've done a lot of work on those things, and it certainly can just be added to the list.
okay.
And we will reassign these next meeting, right?
Correct. So we're in that spot of the year where this would have been Commissioner Lee's last meeting to run.
Oh,
Next month, he would have called the meeting to order and handed it off to the vice chair. So Commissioner Onda would be the chair for next year, and the vice chair would be Commissioner Molina. And that would put him in the chair's progression to, in 2023, then Commissioner Molina would become the chair. And then we kind of start the rotation through. So.
Above my pay grade.
Yeah, I think they give you your same $75 a month. So that would happen in February. So that'll be something that comes up in February, and we'll assign committees at that time. So take a look at the committees, and if there's anything that strikes your fancy, in there, let us know. And when it comes time to assigning committees, the chair will assign you to a committee.
All right. Do we have a recreation report?
Yes.
Rudy? Thanks, Rudy.
I was filling in for Dennis today. So he gave me a nice list of stuff. So for the recreation report, TextMyGov, that some of you may be familiar with. So the department's been testing a texting service called TextMyGov for the previous 11 months. During this time, the department's received/sent 1,800 messages. And the context of it is the residents would send a text message using keywords if there's an issue at a park, or they saw something that needed to be addressed by parks or the recreation side of things as well. And then TextMyGov, I'm going to use TMG, the acronym. TMG would send them to a page on the city's website. So we found that most of the time the service couldn't provide accurate information or send the customer to the appropriate page on the website. The department will cease using TMG at the end of this month, but the city's PIO, Public Information Officer, is reviewing a new app called Simplicity to help share information to the community regarding city services as an alternative to TextMyGov. For the aquatic section, as Alex mentioned, with the rapid increases in COVID cases, should the youth center be closed, staff will utilize the trailer like we've done in the past. That way we don't have the need to shut down the Paul Nelson pool in the rear of the youth center. We'll check swimmers in and out from there and kind of refine our check-in process. And we did recently have our annual maintenance pool closure. January 3rd through the 7th, we ended up reopening this past Monday on January 10th. During that pool closure, we were able to do about a quarter pool drain, which reduces what we call the TDS levels. Gets especially a lot of the gunk that's in the pool out of there and helps us to really stabilize the chemicals that are in the pool. We did a pretty good intensive heat maintenance and filter maintenance over at the pool. We repaired a lot of the lane lines, pool cover reels, things like that, just to get the pool back into ship shape for another year. We didn't do, I think, a annual pool maintenance closure last year, or maybe the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Because of COVID. So, we really took some time to really do some details, even just down to the handrails and things like that. So we're back open and operating. An art update that Dennis has. Santa Maria sign at Jim May Park, Commissioners Grove, is back on track to be installed by summer. The mural at previous library building, the call to artists is being put together for the project with distribution as early as February. Alex mentioned it, the Valley of the Light, the sculptures at the government building. That ribbon cutting is going to take place January 19th at 5:15 p.m. He wanted me to give a quick marketing update. So with the large cost increase in printing and postage costs, right now currently staff are reviewing alternate sizes and styles of a recreation guide to reduce costs and utilizing other distribution services, as postage would cost more than $8,000 per guide. Yeah, so. Grant update, so Prop 68 per capita. There's 3 projects that were submitted. The first one's sculpture at Adam Park, which is next to Manami Community Center. The second's the modular futsal court at Buena Vista Park. And the third is the levee trail parking and interpretive trail entrance. So the department expects to hear in about 6 to 8 weeks if those projects are accepted. And like you've seen in some of the noteworthies, the programs, staff have been really busy, really right now, planning for the upcoming 2022 year, including additional aquatics, youth and teen programs, as well as events such as concerts in the park and potential 4th of July activities.
Oh my gosh, already.
Yeah.
Any
Rudy.
questions?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah.
No questions?
I think you did a great job.
I tried.
I actually heard you.
Thank you.
7E Operations Division, Scott?
Commissioners, I'm going to give this report today. Okay, and these projects I'm going to talk about sort of are in order of the closest to having the trigger pulled sort of back down time-wise. So, Chapel Plaza, the Chapel Plaza bid award is going to go to City Council on the 15th of February. And so we're hoping that construction will start late February, early March. So that'll be on the Chapel Plaza. Former parking lot is turning into an event plaza. Veterans Memorial Park is in final plan check, so it's gone through multiple rounds. So that's the building department is pushing that through. We expect to begin the bidding process very soon, probably early March, probably. So that's sort of the next one on the line. Prescott Park Trail, we've just gone through the first round of comments. It's being reviewed by the County of Santa Barbara Environmental Health right now. I would not anticipate a lot of revisiting. It's pretty straightforward. So this is the DG walkway that will circle the whole park so that people don't have to walk on the road in the parking lot that they like to do to get their laps. Eno's House and Landscape, the plans were resubmitted in early December and are going around for comments right now. Project will be ready to bid sometime this spring, is what we anticipate. That's for both the house and the landscape. The accompanying Japanese Community Center plans are into the architect for revision, and they should be ready for submittal to building department in this month sometime. So these are all in the pipeline. They're just where they're at. So they're all going to start popping out and things are going to start happening. That's it for the formal projects. Obviously, we have a lot of things going on. You've probably seen in the noteworthy. I know Districts is just finishing cleaning up Christmas. It'll be gone tomorrow. On Broadway is the last little bit. Parks has been spending a lot of time doing their winter pruning everywhere. Everything's sort of got a cycle. That's it for my report, unless you have any questions.
Any questions?
I do.
Rebecca?
What's the time, how long do you anticipate Chapel Plaza will take to be complete?
So
Oh, it's a,
I would say you're probably looking at a minimum of 6 months.
oh, okay.
So you're probably talking the end of summer before it's actually done. I hope. So,
Yeah. Construction projects always take a while.
But it's such a, like, light, small one. It's not like buildings and, oh, okay.
that's why I said 6 months
Yeah,
instead of a
yeah,
year.
yeah. Well, this isn't something you actually just, well, maybe I should just wait till it's my turn. They took a tree, you know, that Jim made yesterday. I'm just
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
the commissioner's asking about a tree removal yesterday at Jim May Park.
That's the guy to ask right there.
Yeah, that was me. That's a Monterey pine. I diagnosed it with pine pitch canker, which is a really bad disease for those trees, and they become sort of a super spreader. So I found it last week and
Oh,
just needed to take it down.
it's like, it was the biggest, most beautiful tree there.
Yes,
It's
I
just-
meant, it probably predates the park.
Yeah.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate. We do not plant this variety of tree anymore because of this disease being
No.
so voracious, and it's, unless we catch it really early, it's deadly. I mean,
Oh, good, you got it.
the only remediations we can do is actually to chop pieces of the tree
Wow.
off, and that was too late for this one. So,
Yeah, we actually kept that tree in the original park design, so we bought him another, how long's that park been there now? 12 years, 15 years, maybe longer?
More.
Because it wasn't the original plan, it was to be removed because it had the beginnings of
Yes.
pine pit
Oh,
cancer.
wow.
yeah.
So, yeah, it lived its life, unfortunately. And the other idea is that we would be able to let it stay and then develop new trees, which we have, in the area. So, yeah. It's,
Monterey pines are not a terribly long-lived tree either, so this wasn't, we didn't get robbed of decades of life.
yeah, and it's been there a long time. I mean, it's been there ever since I've been here, so 40-something
10 years,
years,
so.
so.
You
Probably
know,
long before that.
I take pictures of that one all the time, and I haven't put it on Trees of Santa Maria, and, because I thought, it'll be, it's like this stoic one, and look what I'm.
I know.
Anyway.
You can say now, this tree used to be here.
You could
That's sad.
educate on what it was and why.
Well,
it went
I did take a picture today of the gorgeous big chunks, well, it's horrific, it's horrific, It's honestly, but yeah, anyway, okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
We'll go to 8A, official business conducted by a member.
No reports?
Go ahead, Rebecca.
That Christmas dinner was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
It couldn't have been better. It was so nice. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad you enjoyed
It was
it.
really enjoyable. It was a really nice, amiable group, and the cookies were good, too.
I'll call my wife.
Those
Yes,
were
thank you.
delicious. I don't think I have anything.
First, I'd like to apologize, I was late. We're watching, Mr.
Mr.
Yeah.
Deanda's procession, yes.
Procession come down, and, it was a little late. I know the family, my family, good family with the Deandas and his Cernas, and Anita, the mother. They lost their son, the other son, his oldest brother, last year in 2020. So we had a fundraiser for them then, last year, and Joseph was there, and was in COVID and all that stuff, so everybody was, But this year they're having a fundraiser for Joseph, Joey, and the firefighter, so get their support for the people. Our condolences to the family.
Yeah, definitely.
They're beautiful people, sad situation.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to see, I was there at the New Year's Day at Prescott Park. Have you ever been there?
Oh, yes.
The car show?
The car show and the
Yes.
gathering that's there. It's a beautiful thing that happened out there. I walked literally all the way
Way
around.
around, yeah. It was
And
packed.
almost every park, every spot was taken.
More than those, yeah.
Yeah. It was just a community of all kinds, you know, they were all over, and it was beautiful. And they came from far away with their cars and stuff, so I don't know if the city's involved in that too, but they were asking, and I said, I don't know, maybe we could go to the city and get some more support for that thing, but
Yeah,
it's kind of last minute for them.
Last year, they broke into the park.
Yes.
So we didn't have that incident this
It
year.
was- Actually, I think it was 3 years ago.
Oh, was it already?
Yes.
Or 2 years ago, or,
Yeah, 2 or
Yeah.
3 years ago, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we have talked to them, but there's really not one central organizer, because the car clubs
Right.
kind of organize their own little groups, and then they show up and they get their spot and they kind of take it over. Yeah, that's something we want to talk about is not just New Year's, but other holidays when there's a lot of use, to have some better way of controlling the access. So we're bouncing around some ideas we'll probably bring to you probably at the March meeting.
Yeah, because it was, like I said, it was beautiful. It was, you know, there was nobody in charge, like you said. It was
Yeah.
just a big picnic out there, and the city was out there, and everybody had their own little barbecue. And I ate too much.
I was gonna say, do you eat? Yes.
Walking to station to station, but anyway, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, because I'd like to work with those kind of groups in advance because, you know, we don't have enough restrooms for any larger group like that. I mean, it's really tough. And our weekend guys only hit it twice, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. So if we knew they were coming, we could order portable restrooms, we could have somebody staff it so that they're there to keep the bathrooms clean. Those are really the main things that we like to be able to have somebody come from out of town and not write a Facebook post that says, oh, the bathrooms were terrible, you know, I had to go to the gas station down the Wendy's, you know, to go to the bathroom. Not that anybody did that, but, you know, that's the kind of stuff we like to try to end run and help them out. So if you know who they are, I mean, or, I don't know, maybe we work with a few of the car clubs and say, hey, you know, let's make it a New Year's Day car show event.
Especially with the trash, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
with the-
probably not enough services out there for the amount of people.
Yeah, and the Parks Division removed the big dumpsters. They just leave the little 90-gallon containers around the park now. So those kind of events generate a ton of trash. I didn't hear a report back from Parks. I don't know if you heard anything, Scott, on the Monday after New Year's.
No,
The Monday after, how was it?
Yeah.
I didn't go out there.
I didn't hear it, so I don't know.
Well, they had a lot of restrooms there, and I was impressed at the amount of restrooms that were available.
Well, they brought their own?
Yeah,
Okay,
and I
good.
was thinking like, oh, did the city bring all these restrooms? And, because I walked around and I used a few of them, porta potties,
Yeah.
you know? And,
Good, I'm glad.
later in the day, and they were, self-sufficient. So.
Good, I'm glad to hear that, yes. I have one real quick thing. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we are reassuming the PEG station behind the senior center. It used to be our lapidary and community garden building. That will be the home for the recreation division. So all of our programming staff that are kind of scattered all over town now will be brought there. And there's some construction that needs to happen to make that functional space. So we'll be working with Public Works, but we're hoping that maybe by the end of springtime we'll be able to have all our programmers in one location and with the supervisors and everybody in one spot instead of having them spread all over. So we're trying to do that. We help the PEG people, the PEG personnel that record our session. They're now located in the tower here, and so their whole, just the format of their business changed, and so now makes the building available. It allows the studio space that they had, one large room that we're looking forward to putting some programs out there, either something for seniors or something for the community that they can use that big space in the back and also accommodate our office needs. So, yeah.
Great. Does anybody have any community interest items? I had one. I keep getting asked about the Tesla charging stations. And when PG&E is gonna finish that.
So the last I heard remains the same, that PG&E and Tesla have not reached an agreement on how electricity will be provided to that facility. And I guess it's not just as easy as plugging it in. They've provided all the transformers and all that stuff. But in order to make the connection to PG&E's infrastructure, that's the issue. So it's like this far away from one another, and they cannot agree on how to connect it.
Okay.
So that's the issue. We have a few things to do landscaping-wise around it, but for the most part, that's the issue.
Okay, thank you.
And I can't give them even an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we don't know.
all right.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, we're gonna adjourn to our next regular meeting, which is gonna be an evening meeting at Edwards Community Center. It's gonna be at 5:30, and then we'll have our community outreach after that.
Yes, and I just want to comment too that with the COVID changes, we may end up having regulations that will force us to go Zoom for that meeting, or perhaps we want to change the format and not have, and just have a regular commission meeting that night and push the District 2, I believe, back further in the calendar of events.
Yeah,
So I'll let you know what we hear.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any
Instead of
objections, we can plan on that, and then just have a regular commission meeting in February. No meeting in March, that's the conference.
And then
And then
possibly-
April will be District 3.
Okay,
We hope everything goes better. Thank
So
you.
no community,
so we'll adjourn to 4 PM next month, February 8th, here.
Yes, yeah. And the council will tell us how they're going to be, like, council meetings may go back to virtual also, so we're not sure. Yeah, what did Jim say? Above my pay grade.